It began with a glitch small, harmless, almost ignored. A worn-out galactic census drone, drifting near the uncharted edge of Sector 9 Zeta, was performing its final sweep before returning to the central civilization hub. It was old tech, outdated and slow, but reliable. For thousands of years, it had scanned worlds, marked civilizations, logged life forms, and quietly reported back. But this time, something strange happened. As it flew near a small blue planet tagged long ago as uninhabited, hazardous, its sensors lit up like never before. Radiation levels were abnormal, the atmosphere was violently reactive, and energy signatures burst through the ozone like weapons fire. Curious, it descended further until a lightning bolt, seemingly from nowhere, nearly fried its circuits. The drone recovered and zoomed in, struggling to believe what it was seeing. Towering cities crawled with life. Ships soared through clouds. Creatures, two-legged and bare-skinned, walked boldly across volcanic plains, frozen tundras, jungles teeming with predators, and toxic deserts without much protection. It watched as one of these beings laughed while snowboarding down a mountain that would kill most species in seconds. Another wrestled a massive beast in a jungle and lived. The drone, designed to survive the heat of stars and the pressure of gas giants, began to overheat not from the environment, but from the stress of recording what it couldn't understand. When it finally transmitted the data back, barely escaping Earth's turbulent skies, the galactic hub went silent. Council members from hundreds of species gathered for an emergency meeting, every eye fixed on the report labeled Planet Designation 3B Alpha Earth. A planet once dismissed as irrelevant, now ranked off the charts. Class 13 Deathworld. No world had ever been classified above Class 9, and that was considered suicide territory. Earth's environment was unstable, its weather aggressive, its predators relentless, its diseases mutating, and its intelligent species, humans thriving in the middle of it all. Worse, these humans had left their planet. Their ships, though crude by Federation standards, had reached the edge of their star system. They were expanding. The Council argued through the night. One species called for immediate quarantine. Another said they should make contact before Earth made contact with them. One elder ambassador from a peaceful aquatic race simply whispered, "They live where we would die in minutes, and they seem happy." The drone's footage showed humans laughing during earthquakes, swimming with sharks, skydiving for fun, and surviving injuries that would cripple most life forms. Everything about Earth broke the rules of natural evolution in the eyes of the galaxy. One moment in the recording particularly shook the room, a human child falling from a tree, hitting the ground, standing up, and laughing while brushing off a broken arm. "They don't just survive," said Admiral Varnock of the K-Tauri, watching the loop in silence. "They enjoy it." For the first time in centuries, the galactic elite felt something they hadn't felt in ages: fear. Not because humans were hostile, not because their weapons were advanced, but because Earth was a place that should have never produced intelligent life, and yet it had. Life that had not only survived the chaos, but mastered it. Now, the Council faced a choice: acknowledge Earth and make peaceful contact, or declare it a galactic anomaly and try to erase its name from the stars. Neither option was safe. But one thing was clear: the galaxy had changed, and Earth was no longer hidden. Panic spread like wildfire across the Galactic Federation after Earth was officially declared a Class 13 death world. For centuries, the Council had followed strict rules about making contact with developing species, especially dangerous ones, but Earth had never been prepared for contact because no one thought intelligent life could survive such a world. Now that humans had been found, alive and space-capable, the old rules didn't help. High Command scrambled to put together a special team of experts, the most experienced diplomats, scientists, and security officers from different species to carry out first contact. Admiral Threx of the Irani was chosen to lead, a cautious and respected strategist who had once negotiated peace between two warring species by locking them in a shared habitat for 3 days. But Earth was different. No simulations worked. Every prediction failed. The files on human behavior were confusing, Full of contradictions, some described humans as friendly and social, others as violent and unpredictable. No species in the database showed such emotional range or physical endurance. The crew of the Silverlight, the sleek and heavily shielded diplomatic vessel, was briefed with extreme warnings. Do not provoke them. Do not expose sensitive biology. Do not underestimate their strength. Some team members wore full-body suits to protect against Earth's hostile microbes. Others carried translation chips, worried about miscommunication. The ship entered Earth's orbit carefully, hiding behind the moon for analysis, but even that quiet arrival didn't go unnoticed. Earth satellites spotted them within minutes. Military radars across continents lit up. The ship picked up radio chatter in hundreds of languages, some laughing, some shouting, others calmly preparing protocols that suggested Earth had long expected such a moment. Admiral Threx gave the order, "Initiate contact." A simple signal was sent, mathematical patterns, greetings in neutral frequencies, but Earth responded faster than expected. Within 20 minutes, a message returned. Clear. Organized. In perfect galactic standard, as if humanity had been waiting. We welcome dialogue. Coordinates attached. Proceed with caution. We assume you've seen the weather. The crew was stunned. Earth's leaders weren't panicking. They were making jokes. Despite the warnings, the ship descended slowly, guided to a large space agency facility in a region called Australia. As they landed, they watched heat shimmer off the desert, strange birds scream from trees, and a thunderstorm form in the distance, all at once. The aliens struggled to breathe, even with filters. The oxygen level alone was high enough to ignite some alien tissues. The diplomatic team exited with care, stepping onto Earth for the first time, expecting silence or fear. Instead, a group of humans diverse in age, color, and build stood waiting. Calm. Smiling. A woman stepped forward, introduced herself as Dr. Maya Jensen, Earth's lead in the newly formed Interstellar Contact Committee. Her voice was clear, her tone respectful, but her eyes were sharp. She didn't flinch when a sandstorm rose in the distance. She didn't blink when one of the alien envoys gagged on the air. She offered water bottles and snacks like they were old friends. When one alien asked how humans managed to survive this kind of environment, she simply replied, "We don't survive it. We live in it." There's a difference. The aliens couldn't hide their discomfort. The ground itself was too hot. The sunlight burned. The wind howled with dust and insects. And yet, humans walked through it like it was nothing. The team was escorted into a facility where the air was cooler, though still heavy with the scent of something strange, sweat, perhaps, or determination. Inside, humans offered chairs, drinks, even music. The diplomatic conversation began slowly, both sides unsure. The aliens offered knowledge, peace, and cooperation. Humans offered the same, along with curiosity and many questions. How many species were in the galaxy? What were their cultures? Could humans travel freely? And, most importantly, did other species surf, hike, or eat spicy food? The questions seemed harmless, but they revealed something deeper. Humans were not afraid. They were interested. Not once did they seem overwhelmed. And that terrified the alien team more than aggression ever could. It meant Earth had always been ready to face the unknown. One scientist, a quiet, feathered creature from a gas world, whispered to Admiral Threx, "They are used to danger. Used to change. We are not prepared for them." Outside, the sky darkened, thunder rolled, and a dust storm swallowed the horizon. A human soldier calmly shut the blinds and passed out cups of coffee. The aliens, fragile and precise in their behavior, realized something important that day. Earth was not an accident. Humanity was not a mistake. They were the result of a planet that tried to kill them every day and failed. And now, they had stepped into the galaxy with open hands, sharp minds, and unshakable will. The Council was informed. First contact had been made. Earth had answered. And the galaxy would never be the same again. When the humans agreed to attend a formal diplomatic gathering at the galactic capital, many believed it would be the turning point for better or worse. The council expected nervous delegates, careful questions, and maybe even begging for protection, as many new species had done before. But as the Earth delegation boarded the Dignity Star, the flagship of peaceful diplomatic missions, the atmosphere was far from fearful. Captain Ortega, the leading officer of the human security team, walked the alien halls with calm curiosity, tapping on walls, peeking through panels, and asking the ship's AI how fast the engines could go. Diplomat Maya Jensen observed silently, jotting down cultural behaviors with professional ease, but every time an alien crew member looked at her, they sensed something behind her polite smile, a deep, steady confidence that did not match her small frame. The journey was only a few days, but it was enough for the alien crew to realize the humans were not what they had imagined. They asked about food, weather, black holes, war, love, and even galactic fashion trends. They learned fast. They laughed easily. They fixed a malfunctioning coolant system using duct tape and a piece of gum. When the ship faced turbulence passing through a gravity storm, humans barely blinked. Ortega called it a rough landing day back home. The crew from lighter gravity worlds could hardly stay conscious. As the ship entered the shimmering orbit of the galactic capital, an enormous ring-shaped planet wrapped in clouds, and glowing cities, news of the humans' arrival spread faster than official channels could control. Species who had never seen a Deathworlder in person came to watch from viewing domes and broadcast hubs. Security was tight, surveillance tighter. The welcoming ceremony began in the High Forum Hall, where over 200 species had gathered. Lights dimmed, banners rose, and the council leader stood to speak. But before she could finish her greeting, Mia Jensen politely stepped forward and, with a confident but kind tone, interrupted not rudely, just enough to make everyone sit straighter. "Before we go further," she said, "we want to thank you for the invitation and also clarify something." There was a pause. Mia raised a small device and projected the footage taken from the original census drone lightning storms, wildfires, humans climbing mountains, diving into oceans, fighting off wild animals, and building cities in deserts, tundras, and flood zones. The crowd watched in horror. Some gasped. Some turned away. Then she switched the image to humans laughing at barbecues, playing sports, inventing machines, rescuing each other from disasters, and exploring Mars with rovers made of spare parts and raw determination. "We thought you knew," Mia continued, her voice steady. "We thought you understood what Earth was when your drone came. We assumed if you reached out to us, then surely you had prepared for who we are." Silence fell like a curtain. The translator devices buzzed softly. Then a voice from the side, a representative from the glary-eye species known for their peaceful nature and paper-thin skin, whispered what others were thinking. "We didn't think anyone could survive that." Mia smiled, but not in mockery. "We didn't just survive it. We built families. We built nations. We looked up at the stars and said, let's go there next." Captain Ortega added quietly, "And we're not done yet." The council leader cleared her throat and tried to regain control of the meeting, but the room was no longer the same. Behind closed doors, debates began. Some feared what humans might become. Others wanted to study them like rare artifacts. A few saw opportunity partners, not threats. But across every conversation, one fact stayed firm. Humans had not come asking for help. They had come to learn, to contribute, to grow, and they had come from a place that no other species could imagine surviving, much less leaving. In the days that followed, humans attended diplomatic events, spoke to scholars, examined alien technology with childlike wonder, and asked tough questions that unsettled even the oldest minds in the galaxy. They weren't afraid to admit what they didn't know, and they weren't shy about sharing what they did. When asked about peace, they spoke honestly about war. When asked about survival, they spoke of unity and stubborn hope. And when asked what they wanted from the galaxy, Mia answered simply, to join it, to explore it, to earn our place in it. The council couldn't decide if that was inspiring or terrifying, but they all agreed on one thing. These Deathworlders were not a mistake. They were a message from the universe itself that resilience, creativity, and courage could rise from the harshest of worlds. Earth had come into the light. and now the galaxy had to decide whether to accept them or fall behind. The negotiation hall of the Galactic Council was a place of calm logic and quiet tradition, where decisions were usually made with careful words and centuries of custom. But everything changed the day humanity was given a seat at the table. For the first time in living memory, the hall buzzed with tension before the meeting had even started. Some delegates whispered warnings, others watched with fascination, and a few left altogether, too nervous to face the unknown. The humans, dressed in smart suits instead of armor, walked in with steady steps, their faces unreadable, eyes scanning every detail not out of fear, but awareness. Mia Jensen led the delegation, her calm voice and precise words making the room feel colder with every sentence, not because she was harsh, but because her logic left no space for arrogance. The first topic on the table was access to shared technology and regulated trade, a routine matter for new species, usually handled with long applications, trust trials, and a slow easing into galactic systems. But Mia didn't follow that path. She placed a device on the table, a human-made quantum scanner that mimicked alien tech with surprising accuracy, and said plainly, "We already reverse-engineered this from observation. If we can build this without direct access, imagine what we'll create with cooperation." The room went silent. Delegates glanced at one another. The Coran ambassador, a proud negotiator from a race that had dominated trade for centuries, challenged the human proposal, claiming Earth's people lacked discipline and the diplomatic history to be trusted with open access. Mia replied without raising her voice, "Our history is full of mistakes, yes, but we're one of the few species who document every one of them and teach our children why they happen." Then she passed out a data slate containing hundreds of Earth's darkest and brightest moments: wars, revolutions, discoveries, humanitarian acts, collapses, rebuildings. The Council had never seen a species so open about its own flaws. Another ambassador, a cold-blooded economist from a mining world, asked why humanity deserved to skip the usual 10-year vetting period. Captain Ortega, who had stayed quiet until now, leaned forward and said, "Because we've been tested every day on a planet that tried to kill us with fire, ice, floods, and hunger, and we survived. Waiting 10 more years doesn't scare us. But it wastes 10 years you could spend having us as allies instead of competitors." The word competitors echoed strangely in the hall, not as a threat, but a reminder. Humans had already started to adapt alien tech faster than expected. If ignored, they wouldn't slow down, they'd find another way in. Behind the scenes, deals were made. Some races wanted human medicine, which healed injuries in hours. Others wanted human engineers, who could fix plasma leaks using nothing but a multi-tool and determination. A few saw humans as potential soldiers, given how easily they trained under pressure and fought through pain. And yet, even as offers came in, the humans refused to act desperate. They reviewed every agreement with quiet seriousness, rejecting more than they accepted. Mia reminded them gently, "We don't want to be owned, partnered in name but chained in secret. We know what colonization looks like, we invented it, remember?" That line hit hard. Many species had forgotten that humans had not only survived their dangerous world, but also built vast empires across it, then tore them down. They had seen the worst of themselves, and still dared to reach for the stars. One particularly powerful faction, the Visari Banking Guild, attempted to trap Earth in a debt agreement masked as support. Their proposal included interest rates disguised in legal language and supply limits hidden in footnotes. When the document was presented, Maya didn't react at first. She simply turned to a human legal advisor, who scanned the file, chuckled, and passed it back. "We've written worse contracts," he said, and walked away from them too. The offer was declined without anger, just sharp awareness. Slowly, fear turned into respect. The council members began to see that Earth's greatest weapon wasn't its military or wild nature, it was its people's ability to think, to adapt, to endure, and still remain hopeful. Negotiations continued late into the galactic night, with humans securing fair trade routes, open technology exchange, and observer status in advanced research zones. But they also offered something rare in return: raw materials found deep in Earth's dangerous crust, creative problem solvers who didn't panic under pressure, and stories, endless stories full of meaning and madness that other species couldn't stop listening to. At the close of the session, the council leader, who had watched everything with silent calculation, stood and addressed the humans directly. "You have changed how we see Deathworlders. We thought you were a warning, but maybe you are a lesson." Maya stood, her expression calm, her voice steady. "We're not perfect. We're not the strongest, fastest, or oldest. But we're ready to stand with you, not behind you. And we'll prove it every day." As they left the chamber, the humans knew. The real negotiations had only just begun. Earth had made its mark, not through threats or weapons, but through the quiet power of resilience. And somewhere deep in space, the rest of the galaxy watched closely, wondering what humanity would ask for next and what they would give in return. The change was quiet at first, barely noticed by the older species who had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years, but it was there, slow and steady like a distant storm building at the edge of space, and at its center stood humanity, the newcomers from a world so dangerous it had been marked off. Limits for study. What began as cautious contact had now become full presence, with humans working side by side with aliens in science stations, trade hubs, medical labs, and even deep space exploration teams. Their methods were strange, sometimes messy, often risky, but the results were undeniable. They solved problems that others gave up on. They challenged rules that had never been questioned. They found life where sensors said there was none. While older races focused on what could go wrong, humans kept asking what might go right. Their technology caught up fast, not by copying, but by adapting. Their minds seemed wired to think sideways, to connect things others saw as separate. They created ships with flexible systems that could fly through unstable wormholes. They treated unknown diseases with medicine that changed with the patient. And they never stopped sharing every discovery they made. They offered freely, expecting others to do the same. But the greatest shock came when humans started reaching beyond even the Council's understanding. On a remote moon, far from trade routes and politics, a team of human researchers activated an ancient artifact left behind by a long-lost civilization. Dozens of species had studied it before, declaring it dead, broken, or dangerous. But the humans approached it like a puzzle, not a threat. They didn't try to control it, they listened to it. They mapped its structure, learned its rhythm, even synchronized brainwaves with its energy pulses using a method they called neurotemporal feedback. What happened next sent shockwaves through every system. The artifact lit up. A massive burst of data poured out, unlocking coordinates to hidden worlds, archives of extinct knowledge, and blueprints for technologies thought impossible. And the humans shared it not to demand power, but to prove they belong. For the first time in Galactic Council history, a species was not just invited in, they were offered a leading role. But Earth did not rush to take control. Instead, they sent their thinkers, their teachers, their explorers, not to dominate, but to guide. They trained with others, taught openly, and learned without shame. Captain Ortega joined a military peacekeeping force to help mediate rising tensions on a border planet. He didn't fire a shot. He stopped a war with a conversation and a weather satellite. Mia Jensen was appointed head of a new council branch focused on planetary development for high-risk environments. She used her own childhood growing up in earthquake zones to teach others how to build hope from rubble. Soon, humans were everywhere, not pushing others aside, but lifting them up. They reopened abandoned colonies. They helped revive dying ecosystems. They turned old warships into floating hospitals. And the galaxy, once so wary, began to follow their example. Even the most cautious species had to admit it, Earth had changed them. They had brought something no one expected, belief. Not in gods, not in fate, but in possibility. And still, humans didn't stop. Their minds reached further. They built the first cross-species academy, where no one was treated as less advanced. They launched expeditions into the galactic edge, not for glory, but to understand what else lay beyond. And then came the ascension, the moment the galaxy would never forget. It happened during a council broadcast meant to celebrate unity, streamed live to trillions across space. A human pilot named Aya Malik, part of a test crew on the edge of a newly discovered energy field, made contact with something not even the ancients had charted. Her ship vanished for 42 minutes. No signals. No traces. Gone. The council prepared for a memorial. But then the ship returned undamaged, glowing with strange energy, and with a message from Aya herself. "We crossed into something new," she said, her voice calm and changed. It was like a thought made real, like the universe itself was asking us what we wanted to become. And we answered. The data from her ship changed everything: gravity control without anchors, travel by intention instead of coordinates, a new kind of energy that responded to emotion and will. It was the beginning of a future no one had dreamed of. But humanity had. They had always believed in the impossible. And now they were